Good morning, everybody. Today I am going to discuss an important topic
on electrocardiography and electrocardiogram.
The electrical activity of heart can be recorded by placing electrodes on specific places far and near from the heart. The body fluid conducts the electrical impulse from the heart, and that's why it is called volume conduction. You know the passage of cardiac impulse. Cardiac impulse is generated from SNO and then it passes to every node, then to bundle of E's at the mid-third of the interventricular septum, then the bundle of E's branches into left and right branch. The left side of the interventricular septum is tubularized first, then the electrical impulse passes from left to right, then it passes from through the Purkinje fibers from endocardium to epicardium, and then it returns back to the basal regions. The last portion of the heart depolarized is the posterior basal region of the heart, and then repolarization of the ventricle. The electrical activity of heart can be traced by placing electrodes on specific destination over the body far and near from the heart. First of all, I am going to discuss the conduction of the electrical waves. You know, the waves of depolarization when moves, the inside of the cell becomes positive and the outside of the cells become negative. And the portion distal to the depolarized is negatively charged inside and positively charged outside. And there is a demarcation line between the depolarized and non-depolarized part. And this is called the activation front. This activation front moves as the cardiac impulse passes. The depolarization wave moves. It's a dipole. It has a positive pole and a negative pole. It moves from positive to negative. And it has a magnitude. Therefore, dipole can be called a vector. You know, heart is a functional syncytium. So, cardiac impulse spreads to many adjacent tissues at the same time. So there are numerous dipole vectors. The sum of the dipole vectors is known as resultant vector. So there are numerous resultant vectors. The summated vector of the whole activation front at a particular moment is known as mean instantaneous vector. Mean instantaneous vector. The summated vector of the whole activation front at a particular moment is known as mean instantaneous vector. Now the mean, it is not possible to track the mean instantaneous vector from time to time. So the summated vector of the whole activation front over a due period of time is known as average vectors. So we are concerning about the average vectors. There are a number of average vectors. First, atrial depolarization vector. it moves from SA node to the bundle of keys, and it reaches the ventricle. Then there are three ventricular vectors. I have already told that the left side of the interventricular septum is depolarized first. Then the polarization wave passes from left to right. This is called septal vector, and direction of which is from left to right. This is the first ventricular vector. Then the ventricular septum is depolarized and it goes towards the apex. Then ventricular mass is depolarized on the side of endocardium to epicardium. You know the ventricular mass of left ventricle is more than the ventricular mass of the right ventricle. So, if the summated vector is concerned, as the mass of the free wall of the left ventricle is more, the summated vector is directed at large ventricular depolarization is directed from right to left. This is number 2 vector. Then depolarization moves to the bases. So the first ventricular vector, second and third. Some book says there is another vector from the ventry of the interventricular septum to apices. But for the practical purposes, it is better to consider 3 ventricular depolarization vectors. Number 1, at the mid side of the interventricular septum, direction is from the left to right. The large ventricular depolarization vector of the ventricular mass as a whole, which is directed from right to left, and then the depolarization of the basal regions directed to the bases. Then depolarization ceases, depolarization starts, and depolarization of the ventricle from just reverse, epicardium to endocardium. And depolarization of the ventricle doesn't follow the same pathway. Why? Because this is the cardiac activation front. We are tracing the cardiac activation front and not the conduction pathway. Right? So when you impulse from SA node to bundle of E's and from the interventricular bundle of E's to Purkinje fibers, all this causes the activation of the adjacent cardiac cells. So at the same time, working myocardial cells were also depolarized. So we are not recording separately the cardiac conduction pathway. We are tracing the activation front. So it combines the conducting pathway and working myocardial cells. You know, the SA node, AV node, the pacemaker cells, activity of the SA node suppresses the activity of AV node. Overhead suppression is called, this phenomenon is called overhead suppression. So, when the depolarization wave passes in a manner, repolarization wave will not pass the contact through the conducting pathway because there is AV node, SA node. So, the repolarization wave cannot reverse in the same conducting pathway. So repolarization occurs in the ventricular mass from the epicardiogram to endocardium. That's why the repolarization wave will not follow the pathway of depolarization. Right? Scientists have postulated the triangle, equilateral triangle, the epicenters of which are right arm, left arm, and the midpoint of the inguinal ligament of the left side. So right arm, left arm, upward, you can consume. And he said that the heart resides at center, and as our body is, as our heart is a function of syncytia, the cardiac rhythm spreads in each and every direction. So cardiac impulse can be recorded by placing electrodes at specific positions of our body. The specific positions of the body on the basis of the position of the leads can be called as bipolar leads and unipolar leads. Bipolar leads means there are two poles and two poles have potential differences. So according to Newton's law, the bipolar lead 1 positive pole is the left arm, negative pole is the right arm. Lead 1. Lead 2, positive pole is left foot, negative pole is right arm. Lead 3, positive pole is left foot, negative pole is left arm. Wherever you place the electrodes, at wrist, at elbow, or at shoulder, it functions. The lead is placed in the respected shoulder, so right arm, left arm, and left foot. So if the voltage is constant, look, lead 1 minus lead 2 plus lead 3 is equal to 0. Lead 1 plus lead 3 is equal to lead 2. And this is the Newton's law. Newton did it to get a positive depression in lead 3. That's why for lead 2, he assumed positive pole in the left foot, not on the right arm. He just reverses the polarity of the lead, direction of the lead. To get a positive depression in lead 3, nothing else. Other leads are unipolar leads. These three are bipolar leads. Lead 1, lead 2, lead 3. Others are unipolar leads. What are they? Why augmentation is required? to augment the voltage. So augmentation can be done by attaching three resistances of 5000 ohm at the respective lead, and the other ends are connected to a common terminal called Wilson central terminal. The resistances are attached in such a manner they are directed as a bisector of the angle of the equilateral triangle. And here this potential is zero. If we see from the above, the view is like that. If we see from the above, the plane, so one end is connected to the exploding electrode, another end is connected to the common terminal, Wilson central terminal. The potential is zero. So, if we attach a lead at right wing and another to the central terminal, the voltage at the common terminal is zero, and it is called the indifferent electrode. Now, how it is augmented? Suppose I am considering ABR. For augmentation, the resistance of the particular link is detached from the common terminal. Other two terminals are connected to the common terminal. For ABR, this attachment is detached. What will be the voltage difference? Look, ABR is equal to VR minus, according to so if this end is detached, what is the voltage of the common terminal? This will become the average. This side is detached, the voltage of the common terminal will become the average of these two voltages, potential difference. According to Charkov's law, VR plus VL plus VF is equal to 0. So VL, so VL plus VF is equal to minus VR. So we can replace VL plus VF with minus VR, right? Look, by detaching the attachment, the voltage difference becomes 3 by 2 times VR. So it is augmented. That's why it is called augmented link leads. So there are 3 augmented link leads: AVR, AVL, and AVF. Then, now if we detach this attachment from the central terminal, this will not act as unipolar leads. This will behave as bipolar leads again. Though it is called unipolar leads, but in the true sense it is not unipolar. It has polarity. That is VR minus PL by VR by 2. Right? There are 6 chest leads. These are unipolar leads. V1, V2, V3, V4, V6. V1 is placed in the right fourth intercostal space, just right to the sternum. The second lead, V2, is placed in the fourth intercostal space, just left to the sternum. V4, V3 is in between V2 and V4. V4 is placed in the left fifth intercostal space in the mid clavicular line. V5, left fifth intercostal space in the anterior axillary line, and V6 in the left fifth intercostal space in the mid axillary line. So, if we consider all the leads in a single diagram, it will look like this. Suppose this is heart, or heart is a hollow organ. Now consider the interval triangles and augmented limb leads. Lead 1, lead AVF, lead 2, follow the direction, follow the direction. AVR, AVL, now the chest leads. V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. Now look at the 12 leads and their direction, orientation around the heart. If we consider this is the inferior wall of the heart, inferior leads of the lead 2, lead 3 and AVF. So whatever pressings we get, the pressings of the inferior surface of the heart. And this is the anterolateral surface of the heart. Leads directed to the inferior surface. Tooth, 3 and AVF. So the whole anterolateral wall, 1, AVL, AVR, and all the chest is V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. If we consider heart as an anterolateral surface and inferior surface, only 3 leads are related to the inferior surface, the rest are related to the anterior and lateral surface as a whole anterolateral surface. Electron goes away of the electrode, gives a negative deflection. This is the convention. Now look. Suppose this is the pre-wall of the right ventricle. This is the lower part of the interventricular septum. This is the pre-wall of the left ventricle. Central vector is directed from left to right. And ventricular vector is directed from right to left. Now orientation of the chest leads. This is V1, this is V2, this is V3, this is V4, this is V5, this is V6. So V1 and V2 are directly oriented to the right ventricle. V5 and V6 are directly directed to the left ventricle. And V3, V4 are directed to the interventricular septum. So in D1, first wave is directed to the D1. It gives a positive deflection. And second wave is away from the electrode, gives a negative deflection. V2 same. The height of the positive deflection is though less. The first wave is positive wave. V3 and V4. Here, both the deflection will be same. Positive magnitude of the positive deflection and negative deflection will be same. V5 and V6, first vector is directed away from the electrode, gives a negative deflection. Then second wave is directed to the electrode, positive deflection. V6, same. Now, in this manner, positive and negative deflections are recorded. If you consider AVR, what will happen? First wave is away from the direction, second wave is away from the direction. All waves are negative. Inverse, that's inverse. I will draw it later. So this is the method of recording cardiac events. Method of recording is electrocardiography, and the tracing we get is electrocardiogram. Now let's draw. The machine, the electrocardiogram, is so designed. The paper speed is 25 millimeter per second, and it gives 1 millivolt of deflection, which is pressed by 10 small squares of the tracing paper. If we see the electrocardiogram, each large square is divided into small squares. Each large square is divided into
16.
small squares. And by convention, 1 millivolt of potential difference gives a deflection of 10 small squares. So, ten small squares is equal to 1 millivolt. So, one small square is 0.1 millivolt. If we consider x-axis and y-axis, this is the time tracing, and this is the amplitude tracing by volt, millivolt. So, one small square is equal to 1 millivolt, and one small square is 1 millimeter in length and width. Now the paper speed is 25 millimeter per second. So 1500 millimeter per minute. 25 in 1 second the paper passes 25 millimeter. So 25 millimeter needs 1 second. So 1 millimeter or one small square needs, so one small square is 1 by 25 seconds or 0.04 seconds. So in the tracing paper, each small square is 0.04 second in duration and 0.1 millivolt in amplitude. Now the waves of ECG. The first positive deflection is for atrial depolarization and it is called P wave. Then atrial depolarization reaches ventricle. The time required is the conduction period and it is PR interval. And this is the ventricular depolarization wave. It is composed of QRS. Three vectors, QRS, 1, 2, 3 ventricular vectors, QRS. Then depolarization goes to the posterodasal region and ultimately it repolarizes. The repolarization wave is called the P wave. For individual waves, first is P wave. The height of the P wave is 0.25 to 0.3 millivolt and the width is generally is 0.1 second. 0.1 second means 2.5 small squares. Small squares. Its height is 0.25 to 0.3 millivolt, means 2.5 to 3 small squares. So its height is 2.5 to 3 small squares. So voltage is 0.25 to 0.3 millivolt and duration is 0.1 second. PR interval, the conduction period. This is the PR interval, beginning of the P wave to the beginning of the R wave, and it is 0.1 average is 0.16 seconds average. If it is more, then the duration is prolonged, so there is some blockage. Ventricular depolarization has two negative waves and one positive waves. Q, first negative wave Q, then positive reflection R, then negative reflection is S, and total duration is 0.08 to 0.1 second. Then another wave is there, that is T wave. There is another interval, QT interval, and QT interval 0.43 or 0.44 second. Look, there is a baseline. This is called isoelectric line. So here you can see three isoelectric segments. First is
PR segment.
of the P wave, beginning of the Q wave, then is ST segment, end of the S wave, beginning of the S wave. And another is TP segment, end of the T wave, beginning of the P wave, TP segment. These are called isoelectric segment. PR interval is not PR segment. PR interval is the conduction period, and PR segment is the isoelectric segment. How we can read the ECG? What are the points? First point is red. So red is beat to beat duration, right? Beat to beat duration. Look at the board. These are two successive waves. If we consider two peak waves, two positive waves are an interval, how can we calculate the rate? In 1 minute, the vapor goes for 1500 millimeters. So how many RR intervals are present in a minute? Right? You can count the small squares between the RR waves. Each small square is 0.04 seconds. Now, how many small squares are there in between two R waves? That is RR interval. So, how many RR intervals are present in a minute? So, if we divide, look, in 1 minute, it can travel 1500 millimeter. And distance between RR interval to successive waves can be calculated by counting the small squares. Each small square is 0.04 seconds and each small square is 1 millimeter. So how many small squares are there in between RR interval, right? If it is 15, suppose it is 15. Suppose the distance between RR intervals, there are 15 small squares. So heart rate is 100 per minute. Right? First point is rate. Second point is rhythm. Right? You have to tally the RR intervals of two successive RR intervals. In sinus during inspiration, the RR interval decreases or heart rate increases. During expiration, the RR interval increases or heart rate decreases. This is called normal sinus rhythm. The normal sinus rhythm is lost in autonomic overactivity. Right? So you have to trace the tracings. You have to consider the RR interval of successive RR intervals, whether these are decreasing or increasing, progressively decreasing or increasing. If with inspiration it is decreasing, the heart rate increases, this is normal, this is called sinus rhythm. Sinus rhythm is lost in autonomic neuropathy. Right? If heart rate is more than 100, then rhythm is normal. There is no pause, no gap, no abnormal waves. Rate is more than 100. So it is called sinus rhythm but tachycardia, sinus tachycardia. The rhythm is normal. There is no abnormal waves. But the heart rate is less than 60. If normal waves are present, but heart rate is more than 100, sinus rhythm is present, then it is sinus tachy or sinus brady. Sinus rhythm means during inspiration, the heart rate increases, RR interval decreases. During expiration, RR interval increases, heart rate decreases. Sinus rhythm is lost in autonomic neuropathy. Right? So rate, rhythm, then is mean electrical axis. What is the axis? Before this, I am going to draw the waves in left oriented chest lead, right oriented chest lead and area. Look, the electrode oriented to the free mass of the right ventricle, that is V1. First P wave is positive, then the first ventricular vector is directed to the electrode. Look at the board. Gives a positive deflection. Then ventricular vector is away from the board, away from the electrode, negative deflection, then P wave. And surprisingly, there is no Q wave in V1. Q wave are absent in V1, V2. What happened to V6? P wave is present. First wave is away from the electrode, negative deflection, and second wave is directed to the electrode, positive deflection. So Q wave is present. In this manner. What will happen in case of AVR? AVR depolarization wave directed away from the electrode. The P wave will be negative. Directed to the heart, Q wave is positive. Away from the heart, negative. Basal, positive. All the waves are inverse in AVR. This is the only lead where all the waves are inverse. Now go to the axis and mean electrical axis. What will be the axis? These two are, look at the board. These two are triaxial reference system. Triaxial reference system. If we combine these two, it will become frontal plane hexaxial reference system. So I am going to draw the hexaxial reference system. Lead 1. Look. Lead 1. Lead 2. Right? Lead 2. Lead 3. Look. Right? Lead AVF. Directed. Right? AVL. AVF. AVR. These dots are extrapolation. And what is the mean electrical axis? It is directed downwards towards the left and it makes an angle average on an average 59 degree. Suppose someone take a tracing. Consider lead 1 and lead ABF because this is a 90 degree angle. Consider lead 1, right? So what is the difference between QRS difference? Positive minus positive deflection minus negative deflection. How many small squares are there? 5. As well? 3. 5 minus 3 is equal to 2. I am placing here the point. Right? ABF. How many positive points are there? How many small squares are there? Negative. Net minus 1. Plus 1. RLB is tall or SLB is tall? Negative. Minus 1. Now you have to draw perpendicular from this point. Right? Draw perpendicular from this point. The point intersects is the mean electrical axis. This is the axis, electrical axis. Normal electrical axis is minus 30 to minus 30 to plus 110. If it is deviated, near minus 30, it is left axis deviation. If it is deviated plus 110, it is right axis deviation. You have to calculate the angle. It makes an angle of 90 degree. If both are positive, there is normal axis. Lead 1 positive, ABF negative, chances of left axis deviation. ABF positive, lead 1 negative, there is chances of right axis deviation. Ideally, it should be plotted over the x-axial reference system. The QRS difference you have to plot over the respected arm. Then you have to draw a perpendicular. The two perpendicular intersects connect to the center. And this is the electrical axis. Now come to the individual wells. P well. P well. Morphology. Right? If it is more tall and peaked, right? What will happen? Tall and peaked P well. That is called P pulmonale or right atrial dilatation. Right? The width, that is normal 0.1 second, that is 2.5 small squares. Right? P well. If it is more, The shape of the curve will be like this. And it is called P neutrally or left atrial dash. It is the camel hump, looks like a camel hump. It is called P neutrally or P mitrally or left atrial dilatation. If it is tall and peaked, it is called P pulmonale or right atrial dilatation. Clear? Next is PR interval. PR interval denotes conduction of the atrial depolarization from the SA node to bundle of V's, not AV node. It is the normal conduction period of atrial depolarization. Normal value is 0.12 to 0.12 to 0.2 seconds. If it is more, if it is more, it is prolonged. Prolonged PR. Prolonged PR that indicates fast degree heart block. Prolonged PR more than 0.22 seconds. It is called fast degree heart block. So there is a delay. That is called fast degree heart block. So there is second degree heart block. PR interval is prolonged. A drop is missed. A beat is missed. So PQRS complex, then followed by P and no QRS complex. So this is 2:1. Every 2 P waves there is 1 QRS complex. That is Wenckebach phenomenon. 2:1 block. So PR prolonged, right? PR prolonged, but every QRS complex is followed by another QRS complex. So this is fast degree heart block. Now look, PR is prolonged. PR and PQRS complex is followed by a P wave which is not followed by a QRS wave. That is the ventricular beat is missed. That is the block, fast degree block. If it is alternate, P wave, no QRS, PQRS, P wave, no QRS, then it is 2:1 block. If it is alternate every 3 beats, it is 3:1 block. If there is complete dissociation, atrium beats its own, ventricle beats its own. There is no communication between atrium and ventricle. That is called complete heart block. PQ prolonged, followed by a P wave, no QRS wave, another key wave, followed by ectopic wave. So ventricle beats its own ventricular beat. So atrium beats its own, ventricle beats its own. That is complete dissociation. That is called complete heart. Now come to the QRS complex. QRS morphology. Suppose there is occlusion of coronary artery or branch of coronary artery. So blood supply is lost. There is total necrosis, myocardial infarction. Suppose this is the region, there is total necrosis. A ventricular wall, there is total necrosis. There is subendocardial necrosis. This is subepicardial necrosis. Right? Minimal necrosis subendocardial region. Now, normal wave, QRS complex. Right? There is some obstruction, necrosis. The R wave is peaked, but is not tall. Here I am considering key RNS wave. There is some endocardial necrosis. Look at the board. There is some endocardial necrosis. Then there is the free wall. So Q wave is deep. Right. Q wave is deep, R wave is tall, and both are equal. And if there is whole necrosis, it is called pathological Q. I have already written. If it is subepicardial, R wave is tall, but not that of the normal wave. And there will be an S wave, small s, right? Consider these three regions, whether there is some endocardial necrosis, there is deep Q wave, R wave equally high. Total necrosis, pathological Q. Subepicardial, R wave is tall, and there is another S wave that is deep. Right?
Here, the ST segment
Corresponds to the phase 2 of the fast response action potential. And what is the importance of
isoelectric TP segment
corresponds with the phase 4 of the fast response action potential? Generally, it is considered that the cardiac impulse through the myocardium as a whole, and there is no other vector. If there is any alternation in the phase 2 or phase 4, there will be change in direction. There is sub-epicardial myocardial tissue injury. Sub-epicardial tissue injury. Ventricular vector comes, right? Look carefully. Ventricular vector comes, but the tissue which are injured becomes depolarized and remains depolarized at phase 2. So, in this region, the depolarization progresses very slowly. It halts at phase 2. So, direction of the phase 2 is, and direction of the phase 4 just reverse. So, the isoelectric line will no more be maintained. Suppose this is the isoelectric line. This is the isoelectric line. The injured tissue, at the injured tissue, the depolarization halts at phase 2, and which is not easily depolarized. It depolarizes and very slowly. The direction of depolarization is from right to left, and phase 4 depolarization opposite. In A6 is recording. Away from the electrode, so it starts below. The baseline is shifted below. Then Q wave, R wave, this will produce R wave, but the portion is not depolarized, it is still depolarized. So, it doesn't touch the baseline. Repolarization started from here. So, it is called ST elevation, what is found in myocardial infarction or heart attack. And this is the mechanism, ST elevation. Phase 4 is directed away from the electrode. The baseline is shifted downward. It started from below. Normal Q wave, R wave, those small, but it doesn't reach the baseline because it is already polarized and direction is towards the electrode. So depolarization started from here and very slowly. That is the S wave. That is called the ST elevation. If ST elevation is there. There is another issue, that's the ST depression. Suppose there is half endocardial necrosis. The tissue becomes quiescent at phase 2. Look at the border. This is the border. The tissue is injured. Whole tissues become depolarized and is halted at phase 2. Some electrical wave passes and that gives a deflection. The margin is phase 2, right? The portion depolarized first will repolarize first. So phase 4 is here directed. Phase 4 is directed towards the electrode. So it started above the isoelectric line. P wave, Q wave, R wave. Phase 2 is directed away from the electrode. So there is ST depression. There is ST depression. Look at the margin. All the cells are depolarized, inside positive, outside negative. Halted at phase 2. The impulse passes through the region, passes to the electrode. That gives the wave, right? The portion depolarized first. The phase 4 will be directed from this direction. Isolated point is elevated. There is the R wave. Phase 2 is directed this direction, so ST depressed. Myocardial tissue injury. In the endocardial tissue injury, there is ST depression. Epicardial tissue injury, there is ST elevation. This is the ventricular depolarization wave from subendocardium to subepicardium. Repolarization is just reverse from subepicardium to subendocardium. So, if you consider depolarization wave is a positive wave, depolarization wave is a negative wave. Repolarization from opposite direction, subepicardium to subendocardium. A negative wave goes away from the electrode, so it gives a positive deflection, P wave. So question is, depolarization wave, P wave, P wise complex all are positive. So why depolarization wave is positive? It should be negative, but here is also positive. Here is positive. Under normal condition, ventricular vector is directed from right subendocardium to subepicardium, right? Repolarization subepicardium to subendocardium. If it is a positive wave, it is a negative wave. Negative wave goes away from the electrode. So two negative is a positive. In myocardial injury, the direction is reversed. That's why there is P wave inversion in cardiac ischemia. If blood supply is less than adequate, the negative wave goes to the electrode and gives a negative deflection. That is 30 wave inversion. Another important issue is there. Where is atrial depolarization wave? Can you guess anything? This is atrial depolarization wave, P wave. Atrial depolarization wave, P wave. Q1 is depolarization wave, Q1 is complex. Ventricular depolarization wave, T wave. Where is atrial depolarization wave? Overlapping, yes, it overlaps with ventricular depolarization. So where is? Suppose there is heart block, complete heart block. Atrial beats separately, ventricle beats separately. And where is the depolarization? Can you guess anything? The last issue of this test, why atrial depolarization is not seen in normal ECG. Look, an important issue is here. Atrial depolarization. Another issue is the pattern of depolarization is P, Q, R, S, like total depolarization. But the depolarization pattern is just T. Why not cell? Why not cell? Because the ventricle depolarization is not in that pathway where it depolarizes. Depolarization is from SNO to AV node, his bundle of G's, and interventricular septum, then ventricular muscle wall. So it involves not only the conducting pathway, it involves working myocardial cells. Right? But in depolarization, the wave cannot go back through the conducting fibers to AV node by SNO. Why? There is overdrive suppression. SNO overdrive suppression, AV node, right? So it cannot depolarize in that pathway. It depolarizes through the ventricular muscle from subendocardium to subendocardium. So there is a single wave, that is T wave. Similarly, during the atrial depolarization, the SNO gives the impulse conducted to the AV node, mainly through the backbone bundle. Another pathway, atrial muscle. Muscle is very thin and ventricular muscle, number 1 point. If depolarization is present, it is very small. Our machine is calibrated. 1 millivolt deflection causes upward stroke of 10 small squares. If machine is so designed that it is more sensitive, so it can detect 0.1 microvolt or 1 microvolt or 0.1 microvolt and gives a deflection of more than 10 squares, millisquares. If you get a large P wave, then you can get the depolarization of it. But here, the machine is designed, 1 millivolt of voltage difference gives a deflection of 10 small squares. If the machine becomes more sensitive, so minor voltage difference is reflected by a huge deflection. Suppose you get a huge P. In that manner, you can also get atrial depolarization. Here there is atrial depolarization, but it coincides with the isoelectric line. Thank you. This is for today's class.